this window opens us up for a very quick, aggressive, just parabolic surge that totally surprises the market. And by the time most retail gets in, it's too late.
Welcome, jewelers. Welcome all to another episode of Thank God It's Today. My name's Mega. This is the Jewelers Crypto Guild, joined by the legendary Trade. He's back in the house. Trade, how are you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I haven't been in the limelight as much with the streaming and the content, but best believe I've been in the background playing the good old DFK and having a good time in the markets, whether I'm holding assets, trading, and it's a good Thursday to be here.
Indeed.
But this was when the bull market started, okay, and it was July of 2022. We talked about this numerous times. This is the channel that we've been following since that started, right? And we have not deviated from that channel, right? We hit the 15K. We bounced back up to the top of this channel at 36K. We went back down to 26K, which was a pivotal area. We came back up to the top of this channel at 85K. We went back down to the bottom of this channel at 47K. We came back up to the top of this channel, created some new all-time highs at 110K. And now we came back down to the bottom of this channel and went as low as 74K. So all in all, Bitcoin is just respecting this channel.
Now, Trade,
But
on that real quick, just to butt in.
yeah,
Is that because you kind of see that relationship between Bitcoin and the alt season pickup? Because we haven't seen a lot of that yet. You've seen the memes. You've seen that run a lot. You've seen a lot of those random, what people are calling those TikTok trend coins or whatever the case may be. But alts haven't seen that, contrary to a few. XRP had a nice run, and a few others. Hyperliquid has been pretty solid overall. But is that kind of a given if we can see some of these levels that alt season should hopefully kick off?
Yeah, no, that's actually a great question, right? So if I zoom in a little closer, alt season only happens when you have quantitative easing, okay? Which means the Fed either cutting rates or signaling that they're going to start cutting rates. Also, when liquidity returns into the market, M2, when that returns into the market, that's when you see alt season. I wholeheartedly believe those two things will occur. And with this Trump 90-day pause on tariffs, that opens up a summer window to have Bitcoin make its big move, this move that we're anticipating, to the top of this channel here, which sits at 155K. And then that leaves room once quantitative easing and liquidity returns into the market for alt season. But until those things happen, you're not going to see alt season unless your particular coin is strong. XRP is strong. Solana is strong. Jewel is not that strong at the current moment. It needs the push of Bitcoin. It needs liquidity returning to the market in order to make a big push. So I'm just keeping it simple with Bitcoin. This channel, since 2022, the bottom of this channel is being tested. The previous all-time high and this range is being tested, and it's held pretty damn well. As you get the momentum indicators to now turn around as well. And we had something called a death cross. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the death cross,
What is a
Mega,
death
but
cross?
that's a death cross is, and it sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Death cross, let me remove this trend line. A death cross is when the 50-week moving average, which means the 50-week average price of Bitcoin, this yellow line here crosses the 100-week moving average, which is this white line here. And normally you get what is called a death cross, and it's a bearish indicator. And what normally happens is, as the death cross is happening, the market anticipates it ahead of time. And you get, since March of 2025, this downwards price action. But once the market realizes there is a death cross, that actually marks the bottom,
Mm.
right? That actually marks the bottom. So you've seen this trend line here hold, you've seen this channel hold, you've seen the death cross on the daily chart come to fruition. And now I believe we're creating the bottoming process. And we happen to be in what you would call a bull flag. Okay. These two yellow flags here are a bull flag. And so what normally happens in the bull flag is you touch the top, you touch the bottom, you touch the top, you touch the bottom, top, bottom, top. We may have a little bit more downside here and then a breakout. All
Mm.
right. That's what I'm anticipating. This channel has been beautiful since 2022. The all-time highs were created, and I believe we're due for this final upside. And then, quite unfortunately, after this final upside here, because I'm not just a perma bull, we could have Bitcoin returning to $13,000, $14,000. This is
Whoa.
this entire thing has been my thesis for at least the last 4 years. Okay. And again, why could we get a $14,000, $15,000 Bitcoin? We're headed to a recession. All the signals show that we're headed to a recession. The sentiment is really, really down, really, really bad. But based upon these technical and these fundamentals that we're looking at, I still think there is some more upside for Bitcoin. I still think that quantitative easing happens, and I still think liquidity returns to the market. And so I've been trading, but using those trading profits to buy risk assets like a AVAX, like a Jewel for that final upside. So that's my breakdown on Bitcoin. I mean, we've been following this thing for years. And that then leads us, we can look at AVAX, but AVAX has a similar chart. But then to quickly look at Jewel and what's going on with that. But so let's talk about Jewel, right? So if we are looking at Bitcoin, that entire channel that we're tracking, still some upside. Sentiment is down. Everybody's like, oh, we're going to a bear market. The bear market's coming, the recession's coming, but there is still some remaining upside left. What does that mean for Jewel? Now, for Jewel, the chart that I'm currently on is the 3-day chart. Every candle is 3 days. And I'm on a 3-day chart for a particular reason. And I'll tell you why. Right. So we've had this red bar here, which is where a few months ago we said we don't want to see Jewel break below 11 cents. It's not going to be a good thing. I tweeted that I just, it's unimpressive, right? XRP is running up crazy, a lot of strength. Meanwhile, Jewel is just creating lower lows and lower lows and lower lows because of the two reasons, right? Quantitative easing is not here, and liquidity has not returned to the market. It really is just Bitcoin making its move and pulling from the market. And now Bitcoin is also correcting. And so I'm not surprised to see these lower lows from Jewel. It's been 1,054 days of this downside since this bear market move in 2022. Not impressive. Not something you want to see from a coin.
It's been a long
But what
100
you're
days, trade. It's been a long 150
a
days.
thousand
A
days, a
thousand, wait, a
thousand
thousand
days,
day. Okay. So that makes more, it's definitely been long.
1,000 days, and 1,054 days, right? So you know me, I love divergences, right? Whether it's bearish, whether it's bullish. And what we're seeing here is price action from 2023 coming down, but guess what is coming up? The relative strength index, the RSI, has continued to make higher highs for the last 2 years. That shows a build up of momentum. And if we know anything about Jules' history, it stays dormant for quite some time and then it goes ballistic. Okay, that's just what Jewel does at this current moment. Same thing was happening with Bitcoin in the early days, and best believe this is the early days. And so you have 2 years, actually 3 years, of a bullish divergence building up in Jewel with higher highs at RSI. That's the 3 day chart. And so what that tells me is at minimum, once this bullish divergence plays out, we're not only going to test this 75-cent region that it popped to, but I'm highly confident that we test this $1.26 region in the worst case scenario. In the worst case scenario, we test this $1.26 region. And from where we are right now, that's about a 25 plus X. Not too bad, not too shabby, right? And again, bullish divergence over a 3 year period is a serious thing on this 3 day chart that we're looking at. So that's what we're looking at with Jewel, even though we are not impressed at all with the current price action that's been happening because it's not showing strength. But when you have liquidity returning to the market, quantitative easing return to the market, Bitcoin pushing and aggressively pushing towards new all-time highs, this is what you can expect from Jewel. Now, if Bitcoin crashes, okay, you won't see this from Jewel, but I am not of the belief of that. And then when you go to the weekly chart, you no longer see that bullish divergence, but what you do see on the momentum indicators, like the stochastic RSI, is this rounding out of momentum, which speaks to now each candle being a full week. You see this MACD, okay, which is also a momentum indicator, going from the darker red to the lighter red. And this just spells a coming impulse for Jewel. And we know how Jewel behaves when it impulses. Even if we get a push back from Jewel to the previous high of 76, 78 cents, it's a 1,400% run. So people always ask about time. I can't tell you a time. I can only tell you levels. So as Bitcoin makes its way to that 140 to 160K level, you can expect Jewel to then get positive price action to what? To the first level of 70, 78 cents, which is a 1,500% run, to the $1.26. And if we get enough momentum, my ultimate upside for Jewel, and this has not changed for months, and going towards some years now, is $5.58. And you know, when you're a chartist, it's hard to continue putting your inferences out there, but I maintain confidently that this is what we can look forward to for Jewel if liquidity returns to the market, quantitative easing returns to the market, and based upon the fundamentals and the technicals of what we're looking at, and myself still believing that there is some upside remaining for Bitcoin, this is what we have to look forward to. And if a $5.58 Jewel is like, that's close to 100x, right?
Yeah.
So to me, and I'll finish this off, it doesn't matter to me, okay, if it happens this year or if it happens during the next bull market. This is what we have in front of us for Jewel based upon the chart and analysis. And oh my gosh, the next bull run.
Whew.
Me playing this game is not for this bull run. It is for the next one and the one after, because I wholeheartedly love and believe in this game. But that's, if you're looking at 100 plus X 4 years, 5 years from now, Would you stay or would you leave? That is the question.
I can highly, highly likely bet that a lot of people would be very, very excited with even over a dollar jewel trade. So, much love. God damn, it's good to have you back, trade, with the market breakdown. The chartist, I believe I heard in there, trade. That, we're coining it, trade room, the chartist, going forward. But beautiful breakdown. Yes, I think um, not. I mean, for one, the game is so early that if
Mm-hmm.
you're playing just for this bull run, and I don't think many of the people around the ecosystem are, I think you're
Mm-hmm.
playing it wrong because not only do we have a fun game, not only do we have a killer community, but the bones and the innovation of which DeFi Kingdoms cooks up here for us, that's why we're still around. That's why you see other people, other products, other teams, gaming projects fold so quickly because they don't have what DeFi Kingdoms has within the
Mm-hmm.
team, within the community. But just another big shout out to the team overall. Trade. Now, my question for you is obviously these numbers are and one of the biggest things I think, the most important things I think you said is you can't predict the future and you don't know timings of these things. Not only, okay, let's say we get the bear, or let's say we get a full on, exponential bull run coming in May, mid May. Let's just say, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you can't tell how long that's gonna last. You can give
Mm-hmm.
your best educated guess, and we'll of course listen, and of course there's a lot of good information behind your basis, but
Mm-hmm.
just the formula of the market, we can't guarantee how long, when, all those things. So
Mm-hmm.
all you can do is, the longer I've been in the ecosystem, the more I realize it's just about being in the ecosystem, putting
Yes.
your money where your mouth is. Um, Biggest thing I think is hold on to a little bit of Bitcoin. Not financial advice. Do what you got to do. But for me, at least, as I'm growing older, it's just hold on to a little bit more Bitcoin than
Yeah.
I've been. Gamble on my alts here and there. There's some stronger alts than others. I love AVAX. XRP has shown me some strength, contrary to what I thought it would do, honestly. Um, just hold on to some Bitcoin, I think, is one of the biggest things I've been holding on going forward.
For
But
sure. I totally agree with that. And if we're gonna get a 13, $14,000 Bitcoin for the
whew,
next 4 years, I'm gonna stack Satoshis and hopefully get me a half a Bitcoin, a full Bitcoin. But
right.
the recession is not negative. Well, it's negative in the sense of that how it's gonna affect the economy. But if you are an investor, you're licking your lips.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, fortunately. And so the last thing I'll say is this is only speculation,
Right
but
on.
I do think China comes to the table at some point. I do think this 90-day window opens us up. Normally during the summer we have a downturn, but I think this 90-day window opens us up for, and especially since Bitcoin has been correcting for a while. This window opens us up for a very quick, aggressive, just parabolic surge that totally surprises the market. And by the time most retail gets in, it's too late. That's just my speculation, icing on top of the cake for what we have here.
Right on, dude. And I saw a great tweet today. The only thing certain in finance trade room is that there only is and only will ever be 21 million Bitcoins. So we're
That's a
stacking
fact.
sats on this side, baby. So
And
I
only
love to hear it.
what? 20, 23, 22 million Joule?
Whew, and lowering each and every day. So, hey, deflationary assets. That's why you said you're stacking for not this bull run, the next one, the one after, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We got generations to feed. So, that's what we're
Facts.
doing. That's what we're hoping for. Stacking sats. We'll be here playing some kingdoms, some DeFi, and I'm staying bullish as best as we can through these times of turmoil all over the world. Try to stay positive. Try to crack a laugh, crack a smile, make somebody's day better if you can, bro. A lot of troubling times across the nation, the world in general. So, choose positivity, choose kindness. And bros, I'll see you in the tournament. We'll see you next week. T Heat hopefully will be back. He's enjoying a ball game tonight. We'll see if Trade's back. He's going to be back with some streams here. Trade, are you, real quick, are you on this weekend as well? I forget.
Not this
Not this
weekend.
weekend?
Yeah,
So
most likely next
I
weekend.
was thinking last weekend. That's my bad.
Yeah, for
Regardless,
sure.
we always enjoy and cherish the time we get with trades, chart knowledge, the chartist, the trade room. Follow him on the socials for trade. My name's Mega. This is the Jewelers Gaming Guild. This is DeFi Kings, baby, and this is bullish. We'll see you next week,
Well,
folks.
peace.
Peace.